I'm Ellie Smith, and I lived in Montgomery Village for over 25 years, raised my children here, and taught at Studwick Elementary for 16 years before retiring and relocating to the mountains of central Pennsylvania.
My name is Eyen Johnson, and I've lived in Montgomery Village for about 20 years.
We were relocating, my husband and I were relocating back to the East Coast from California, and I had a girlfriend in the area. And when we told her where he was working, she said, well, you have to live in Montgomery Village. We had a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old and a real estate agent in the car, and within an hour and a half had picked out where we wanted to live.
When I was about 2 months old, my parents moved here because they thought that it was a nice community.
The first thing we looked at was the schools. As a teacher, I was very concerned about the schools and just heard phenomenal things about the schools, read phenomenal things about the schools. And that was the number one thing that attracted us. And then just the feel of the neighborhoods. It just looked like a place where we wanted to raise our children.
What captures my interest most about Montgomery Village is that it has 3 great schools that I went to. Studwick Elementary, Montgomery Village Middle, and Watkins Mill High over there.
Several things. The art, craft, and photography show, which I didn't even know about for the first 20 years, and the holiday craft bazaar over in East Village, which is just a great place to get holiday gifts, and I actually sold some of my jewelry and crafts there. And then the summer camps. Our children grew up in the summer camps. They started at Tiny Feet. They went all the way through, and both of them were CITs at the summer camp, and both of them ended up working as counselors at the camp. So I don't know that everyone's aware of how marvelous the camps are.
I would say drawing, playing games, watching movies, and getting exercise.
Crafts, sewing, knitting, quilting, making jewelry, and writing books with Eyen.
Well, there are a lot of places in Montgomery Village that are good enough for me to get all the exercise I want.
I think an influence was early on going to the craft bazaar and seeing what people were doing, and also there were a lot of things that the teachers were doing, and so we would sort of give each other hints and help each other, and we actually ended up for several years doing a little holiday craft show just for the teachers in Studwick. So that was sort of a side thing we had going on in the building. Tex started, I met Eyen when he was in kindergarten at Studwick, and by 3rd grade became very aware of how talented he was. He started drawing dinosaurs, I think 2nd, 3rd grade. And by 5th grade, this is actually a picture I had that hung in my office for years at Studwick. And we decided then that we wanted to create a book together. We agreed when Eyen was an adult that I'd write a book and he'd illustrate it. And when I went to his graduation from Watkins Mill High, he reminded me, not that I'd forgotten. And it started from there, just playing with some ideas. Eyen loves dinosaurs and I love space. And it just hit me, okay, a dinosaur who explores space. And that's where we got Tex the Explorer Journey to Mars, and it went from there.
Right after I read everything that Miss Smith wrote, I used my imagination to come up with ideas of how I could design the illustrations based on everything she wrote. I remember starting to like to draw when I was in kindergarten.
We have another book we're working on, and Tex has an airplane, and what I was picturing, and I'll tell you this now, was Snoopy in his biplane with the goggles, scarf flying behind him, and I just kept saying to myself, don't say it, because don't influence him. And what he sent was nothing like that, nothing that I envisioned, and so much better than anything that I could come up with. So I've learned to be quiet. As far as my career teaching, I'm a special ed teacher, and I honestly knew there's so many elementary schools in and around the village that I didn't have to commute. And so when I went to Montgomery County, I said, well, I live in Montgomery Village, and so what do you have? And I was at Strawberry Knoll for 8 years, and then at Steadwick for 16 years. And as far as the book, of course, Eyen and I met at Steadwick, so that's a huge part. Montgomery Village brought us together.
The one thing I enjoyed the most was her giving me the opportunity to use my artistic talents to help children to become successful readers.
For me, everything. It was a wonderful experience.
Well, I don't really have a favorite picture. I just like them all.
My favorite picture in the book is the one where Tex is in front of the rover on Mars. It just surpassed, I think, anything we hoped for. We were hoping to sell 100 copies of the book in total in the lifetime of the book, and in the first 2+ months we've sold over 200 books. So it's just been super.
Anybody who wishes to have the book can go on Amazon and other online retails.
We entered the book in a few contests, really as a marketing thing. We're both learning a lot about marketing. And the very first contest we entered, the Mom's Choice Award, it was a silver medal recipient, which we were stunned, thrilled, just very, very proud of how we did.
I have several favorite things to draw. And that would, of course, include dinosaurs and superheroes.
Why all of a sudden am I picturing Tex as a superhero? Tex the super dinosaur or something? We'll have to work on that one. So we had a lot of suggestions and a lot of requests, and we do have 6 books lined up, and I guess we've just added a superhero book because of this interview. So we have a lot planned. And we are actively working on the next book, which is Tex the Explorer Journey Around the Earth. Initially, I started a blog, but it's moved well beyond that, and it's sort of become a way for me to still keep my hands in education and a lot of suggestions about working with children authentically, both for teachers and for parents. I just hope it continues to be a wonderful place for people to raise families. When we sold our house, I cried at the closing, and it was a young couple who bought our house, and she said, we're going to raise children in this house, and they had pets they were bringing into the house, and I was definitely personifying the house, and so glad to feel like another generation was going to enjoy what the village had to offer, and that they'll be raising their family in that house.